everyone. This is the Guru of Inspiration, Michelle Hammond, and I am listening to the Lunchin with Lisa show. Come on in and join me, y'all.
You are now listening to Lunchin with Lisa show.
Well, all right. Hey, this is Prince Dejour, and you're listening to the Lunchin with Lisa show. You gotta love it.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Lunchin with Lisa. I do again want to say thank you so much to Michelle Bolden Hammond, Charlene Day, and the wonderful Prince Dejour from the radio station. I know you all have heard of him before, but they actually did some sound bites for me for my new intro. Shariva surprised me. So thank y'all so much for pouring into Lunchin with Lisa. I appreciate it. So I wanted to first say happy birthday to anybody who's having a birthday today or in the month of February. I also said last week that I wanted to shout out anybody in December and January because we weren't live until February of this year. So we took a break, which was necessary. But we wanted to make sure that we say happy birthday to all of you. We also wanted to say happy anniversary to those who are celebrating anniversaries. You all know that I'm just a mushy-gushy kind of person, so I'm always loving to celebrate love. So happy anniversary to anybody who's out there celebrating an anniversary. Before we get started and introduce you to our wonderful guest of the evening, because tonight is a subject of romance. We talked about self-love last week, so now we're talking about love. But before we get started, I wanted to mention that Dove Style Magazine has the wonderful honor of covering a movie premiere on February 13th called Double Cross. So we will be doing that on next Monday. So we're excited about that. We're going to cover the premiere. It should be awesome. So if you're looking for something to do, come check it out. But Dove Style Magazine will be in the house. I also wanted to let everyone know that I have the honor of speaking at a Black History Month Festival 2023 that's at the Prince George's County Sports and Learning Complex in Landover, Maryland. So that's coming up on February 25th. They have a wonderful event planned that day. They have a lot of things going on. Many vendors are there. I think they have some book readings with the kids. They have some performances. There's a lot going on that day, and it's absolutely free for all ages. It's a family event, which is my kind of event. So you all come on out and celebrate Black history. I will be speaking there as well, and I'll have a table set up for my books. But I really want you all to come out. We went a few years ago, and it was wonderful. So please put that on your calendar. And there are a couple of other flyers I just wanted to show you that they're also doing. They have some events going on where there's a Black History Month open mic night. And I believe that's on the 28th. Y'all know my eyes are bad. I'm not wearing my glasses. But no, check this out. I'll also be posting these on my page. And on February 10th, there's a Black History Family Trivia Night. So you can check that out. And last but not least is, I think this is on the 14th, there's a social event that's for Valentines Day. So Prince George's County Sports and Learning Complex is really doing some things for the families. I think most of these events are actually free. So you don't have to worry about finances. Just take your families out here and enjoy what's out there for you. So we want to get started. I want to introduce you to some guests who know all about love and romance. And what I like about tonight's show is that this is one of the topics that I love to talk about. I love love. I love relationship talk. I love to talk about how to build up relationships with men and women. It doesn't always have to be marriage, but I love conversations about how men and women show love to one another, whether it's a girlfriend, boyfriend, marriage, in any situation. So this is really a fun night for me. We're also going to tap into maybe some good ideas of what you can do for Valentine's Day. You got to get creative with it sometimes. And I know sometimes I'm one of those, I drive people crazy. My husband's like, what are you doing now? But I love to be creative with it. simple, but fun. So we're going to talk about a lot of things tonight. But let me introduce you to the Greens. And you've probably seen them on many other platforms talking about love. But I wanted to bring you all on and have you really kind of introduce yourselves. I know we can do the bio thing, but I think that people usually can tell about themselves a little bit better about what you got going on and what you do, because I want you to connect with them on why romance and love is your thing. So tell us a little bit about the Greens. Who are you?
Well, I'll just say I am a wife who's been on her honeymoon and in love for the past 15 years. Yeah. So
That's
we're
what I'm
James and
talking about.
Cynthia Green. And like I just said, we've been married 15 years. We have 4 adult children between the 2 of us. And we are like you, Lisa. We just love. We love anything related to marriage and relationship and helping people get it right and letting people know that there are great marriages out here and anyone can have one if they really want to learn the process and get the tools to do it.
Right. And we're also the co-founders of Marriage Built to Last, which is our business. And we're marriage and relationship visionary strategists. So what we do is actually help couples have a vision for their marriage or for their relationship, because we truly believe that you have to be going somewhere. You can't just be nilly-willying along in your relationship or just kicking it, as a lot of people say. You should be going somewhere and doing something so you can get to that place where you want to be as a couple in your marriage or in your relationship.
I love that. And see, and you all tapped into something, because I think that the mismessage that's out there is that there are no good marriages out there. Everybody's miserable and unhappy and, don't do it kind of messages. And I love that that's what you are, you're dismissing that, because I think it is true. There are wonderful marriages out here. And some people are actually showing you, but if you don't know what it looks like, you don't know that that's what you're looking at. So you're assuming that people are happy in marriage, that they're faking it. It's not true. They're really not happy. And that's why I thought this was a great way for you all to really enforce, oh, it's true. I'm living it. And this is how you can get there too, without diminishing being single. Because it's about whatever you choose to do. But there is happiness in being married. It's not that all the single people are married. There's some happy single people, but there's also some happy married people.
Right. And what's funny, Lisa, is that people talk about, well, all marriages end and 50% of divorce. And they talk about those negative 50%. They never seem to talk about the positive 50%, the couples that are thriving, the couple that are doing great. Everybody's not in a bad marriage or a bad relationship, but they always talk about that negative 50%. And when you see it portrayed on television, on radio, on advertisement, whenever they talk about it, they always talk about it in a negative light. They never seem to talk about it in a positive light. And the couples that are really doing great, that 50% that are really thriving.
Absolutely. So I want you all to, I know you can't tell us everything because they need to sign up for some of your, the things that you all are doing. But tell me, what does romance mean to the Greens? What is romance to you all?
You know what? I'm a mushy-gushy type of person too, but I don't think romance is always about being mushy-gushy. Like for me, romance is when we turn the lights down low and we sit and watch a movie together, or even a TV series that we really enjoy. Romance for me is sometimes when we're just out grocery shopping. James will grab my hand and hold my hand, and I still smile about things like that. You know what I'm saying? And romance is when you're intentional about romance also. Romance can just happen, but you can be intentional about it. Whether you want to turn the lights down low, light some candles, put on some nice music and just enjoy your bae. We do that too. So especially sometimes we're just laying in bed and we'll turn the lights down low. We'll play some nice music that we both enjoy and talk and chat and spend time together. Romance is exactly what you make it, but we do need to make sure that we are romancing our spouse.
Right. And for me, it's about more of spending time together, especially when you talk about, say, the love languages. And I know Cynthia's love language is quality time. So if I could just give her my quality time, because I always say a lot of women need presence. And I'm not talking about gifts. I'm talking about your presence being physically there in the moment. So if I turn off of Sports Center or turn off of a game and just spend time with her and devote my attention to her, right there, that could be romance, because we're spending that quality time together. And if you could give your mate or your spouse what they need with their love language, that's romance right there.
Well, and I was even going to touch on the fact that when you get to a place where you've matured in your romance and your love for one another, a lot of the romance that I saw, even with us and our growth, we've been married for 12 years, going on 13 this year. But we've known each other for like 30 some years. So we're kind of like newlyweds, but old couple, and all of this it's fun. But what I notice is that when you get to a certain place and you're able to him sit on one side of the couch, maybe playing on his phone or whatever, you sitting on the other side of the couch doing something, but you're in the same space and nobody's feeling neglected. Everybody's good. The TV might be running, but we're doing our own thing, but we still feel comfortable, and like it's almost like we're engaging, but we're not. Right. Sometimes that's a good space for me, because it's a comfort level that you rarely get, because normally when people are doing that, you're thinking, oh, somebody's mad at each other. But sometimes we just in our own zone, but we're in the same room in our own zone. Right. So I love those moments. So because a lot of times quiet in the same space is romantic. And I think it's interesting, and I wanted you all to tap into, because I know that men and women may think that romance is very different. So as a couple, how do you help couples understand that there are differences? There's sometimes when wives are looking for something and that's what they think romance is, and the guy's like, oh, I didn't know that's what you thought. I thought it was this. So how do you help them like maneuver through those love languages so that they're not entertaining their own love language, they're actually entertaining their spouse's love language?
Well, Lisa, when we work with couples, we actually give them the 5 love language quiz. Like we send them the link and we have them do it, and then we discuss it with them. But at the same time, we tell couples there is no cookie cutter marriage formula out there. Every couple has to create their own what we call marriage success formula, right? Okay. So it's what works for you. So we have them talk about, what do you like? What do you want? What are your expectations? And what are yours? And they discuss that. And then we tell them, come up with a plan, like write it out. Write out what you're planning, what you want your relationship to look like. It goes back to where James says our main thing is helping couples have a vision for their marriage. That vision is in every area you can think of, including how you want your relationship to grow. What do you want your relationship to look like 20 years down the road? Most couples don't think about that. Do you want to be at home sitting relaxing, or do you still want to be out there traveling, having fun? But you get to decide what you want that romance to look like. You get to decide what you want your relationship to look like. And when you talk about it, have a conversation about it in advance, see, then you don't have all the confusion. You don't have all the conflict. You don't have all the wondering what she wants, what he likes or don't like, because you've had a mature conversation about it in advance. And you have to revisit it, because it does change. It does shift. And
to add on what Cynthia said, I always say sacrifice leads to success. Okay. So there's times where you have to make a sacrifice to make your mate happy to have a successful marriage. Yep. Because there's times when if you make the sacrifice and do things that she may want to do, and you not necessarily like to do them, but you do them, say, to fill up her love tank. And then she'll turn around and make a sacrifice and do things that you want to do to fill up your love tank. And what you're actually doing is out loving each other. Okay. You're making sure her love tank is filled. She's making sure your love tank is filled, and you're filling each other's love tank, because you're both making sacrifices to making each other happy.
And you know what's so good about that, Lisa? When your love tank is full with the type of love that you need, based kind of around those 5 love languages, when your spouse does something or want to go out and do something without you, there's not a battle. It's not a contention, because your love tank is filled. You're feeling good. You know that you guys are okay, and you've gotten what you need.
Right. And now you're just waiting for them to come back to get that love, to have that love back again, because you don't miss them when they're gone, because your tank is filled. And then when they come back, you just enjoy it more, because now you're missing that person. And when they come back home, now you just enjoy that person that much more.
That's a really good point, because I do think that that's a point of contention in relationships, that you're good as long as you're in each other's space. But then as soon as somebody makes a move, now your anxiety goes up, or you're thinking this or you're thinking that. But I like the love tank thing. So, but if the love tank is full, just like you filling up your gas tank,
that's right,
to get exactly where you want to be. You don't want to have to stop halfway through on the trip. You fill it all the way up, so there's no worries. It's the same thing with your relationships. You got to pour it in all the way.
Right. And you can't keep running on empty. You can't keep taking and not giving back.
That's right.
That's so
That's
good,
right.
babe. That's good.
Right. So do you all, so I'm just ask this question because I know you all about marriages, but do you at times have to speak with couples who are thinking about getting married, or single people who want to go down that path? So what guidance do you share with them about this world of love? Because some people are scared of this. I mean, really scared.
Well, you know what? Right now we're coaching pre-marriage couples and married couples. And so we have a complete plan for our pre-marriage couple. But the first thing we talk about is, what is marriage? What is love? What does marriage mean to you? Define marriage in your own words. Tell us why you want to get married, you know. And then people are really surprised at what their mate says sometimes, because the wives be like, I really want to hear what you have to say, you know. they're like really curious because they've never discussed it. And but then you really get again, we're all about vision. And we tell them it's all about your mindset. If you get your mindset right before you get married, and you have a vision for that marriage before you get married, you're more apt to stay on the same page, just like James and I did, throughout your relationship. Because
I totally agree with that. I've always been a fan, even before I got married, with premarital counseling. Because it helped us to, when we ran across those difficult times, we had some tools in place. I mean, of course, at first he was like, I don't want to do all of that. But when we went, because it was a requirement for me, I was like, okay, I don't know when you going to church, but you going to do this premarital counseling, because he enjoyed it. He didn't know he was going to enjoy it, but he enjoyed it because we learn some things that we would have never done,
right,
and lost our way had we not just listened to what they said. And I'm going to give you an example, and you all tell me what you all think about this. So one of the things which I'm going to confess was a really hard thing to do, but we were told that if we make a date with each other to go out, say Friday night, to the movies, but it's Monday when we made them plans, okay? So by Wednesday, you done made me mad, I done made you mad, and now we don't even want to look at each other. What we were told was, you are still to go on that date.
That's right.
On Friday. And we were not, of course, normal reaction is, okay, well, I'm mad at you now, so I don't want to go nowhere with you.
Right.
But after she told us that, we did it, and I was like, wow, this actually works, because it kind of reset everything. Or even doing something like what we started doing was, when we have moments where we're just kind of on edge, it's been a bad day, we might watch a comedy show. So we're looking at the same comedy show, but before you know it, we're laughing at the same jokes, and we really kind of forgot, because you know how you laugh, but you really don't want him to hear you laughing.
Right.
And then the next thing you know, you feeling silly because you're like, it's funny, we're going to laugh. And then you forget about what it was. What do you talk to couples about doing stuff like that? Because that's hard to do.
And the key to that is when you go on that date, we usually have a rule where no phones. So it forces the two of you to talk. Even though you may be mad, you may set the date, and then in the middle of the week, you may be mad. When you get to that date night and you don't use your phone, you have to communicate with each other. You have to talk about things. And dating is a key, because what it does is it creates those memories. Those times you can reflect on and look back on and say, oh, babe, you remember we did this? You remember we went here? And what it does is it also fuels that romance, because you got to remember, before you got married, you were dating all the time. You used to talk all the time. You was trying to spend time with each other all the time, unless you're at work or at school. And it brings back that romance. Plus, it shows your spouse that they're a priority. And that's what you want. No matter if you're mad on Wednesday, when it comes to that Friday or Saturday, it still shows that, okay, I'm a priority to him or to her. I want to make sure that I'm there for that person. And to speak on what you talked about earlier about premarital, what we like to do is set the foundation. That's what premarital coaching or counseling is key for, because it lays that foundation. Because we always say, when you're before the pastor and you say, I do, your mindset, like Cynthia said, usually goes to, okay, now what do I have to do to make this marriage work? What do I have to do to make sure we stay together? What do I have to do? And that's the wrong focus, because you're focusing on I. You should be focusing on, okay, now what do we have to do together? What do we have to do to make our marriage great? What do we have to do to make sure we're growing together and not growing apart? So if you focus on that we and not I, and set those dates, you can have a flourishing and prosperous marriage.
Right. And
that's a big key. That we versus I is huge.
That's right. And going back to dating too, we tell couples the same way you put on your calendar, you know you're going to church on Sunday, you know you're going to work Monday through Friday, such and such time, you know you're got a wedding on the calendar in May, you should put your spouse on your calendar. Absolutely. If you know you're a busy person, then fine. Then scheduling dates is your best thing that you can do. People are like, schedule a date? No, I don't think we should have to schedule. Yes, you do. Pencil your spouse in just like you pencil everything else in, because like James said, it shows that your spouse is a priority. And if we've been dating, Friday night's been our date night since the day we got married. Okay,
I love it.
We got married. So we don't have to pencil it in, but we do have to discuss if something else comes up, what that Friday night is going to look like.
Because if not,
something to look forward to.
Because if you happen to be busy and you miss that date night, then your spouse may start to feel neglected.
That's
like,
true.
Okay, you know, we're supposed to have a date night, and he or she may have forgot, you know, they got busy, you know, at work or whatever the case may be, or fell asleep and just plain forgot. So if you don't put it on your calendar and you forget, then they start feeling neglected, and then there could be issues that arise in your relationship.
Yep.
Well, that's true. And I was going to piggyback on what you all were saying and say, you know, that you can even take advantage of moments when, say, you have that wedding that kind of replaced what date night was. But make sure that when you're at that wedding, even after the wedding, you know, make it about you. Or when you get on that dance floor, remember, for real, we in our own world right now. Let's dance it up. And so you can transition, you know, certain things that you're doing and make it about you and him. I know I will say this for we're people watchers. So we love
it. So are we.
Love it. I mean, it is like the best thing for couples, because I've learned so much about him from just watching, to see how he reacts to people, and we actually go places and just kind of watch people move, and you know, he might, you know, say something about somebody, say, boy, you know, and we just go back and forth. We have a ball with that, which is one reason why I've seen some things on TikTok, because TikTok is perfect for people watchers. There is so much stuff on TikTok, but we have spent nights till 2:00 in the morning till the phone dies, laughing at, you know, just silly stuff. And I think it's important. Romance to me is just being able to be silly with one another and not be worried about this hair in place, or, oh my God, you know, you're not worried about none of that stuff. You're just having a ball. You're laughing like, you know, I mean, some of the laughs that we have, it's not cutesy laughs. It's like downright falling on the floor, mouth all open. It's just the best time when you can be yourself with somebody. Even people who are thinking to get into relationships, you have to be, like you said, you have to have a certain mindset, because you have to let go of some of those hang-ups. Yeah, like not doing this in front of somebody and not doing this. I mean, what you hiding it for? It's going to come out eventually anyway, right?
Yeah, and it's so funny because we love the people watch, and what we do is we make up stories for a couple. If we see them, if we see a man and say a child, and that's all we see, we'll say, oh, it must be his weekend. We'll just make up stories, and we don't even know, because we say, look at her hair. He must have to do her hair, and he don't know how to do her hair. It's his weekend.
Yes,
and
so
not judging anybody. We just
no. I get it totally, because look, I was getting ready to say, I mean, we have a good time, and everybody talks about people sometimes out of, you know, having fun, but literally we have gone to a mall, sat down on the bench, and just watch people. We used to go to this place in PG County where we would just have our favorite, you know, fried chicken and it was like wings. We love wings, and had to have my favorite drink or whatever. And we would just watch people come in and watch them interact with each other. And we got all kind of sights in. I mean, if we were comedians, we would have stuff for days. Okay. If I knew how to be a comedian, I was like, oh, I'm about to make some money because it is some mess out here. But it's fun. So you get to connect that way.
Right. And it's so funny because we made a decision when we got married that every time around our anniversary, we would take a trip. Okay. One may be outside the country and one may be inside the country. And it's so funny when we go on a trip and sit in the hotel lobby and people watch and make up stories. Especially when you see a couple and you'll see the woman dressed up fabulous. And then you see the man with jeans on looking kind of run down like, okay, look at that couple there. And, it's not to make fun of anybody. We're just having fun in ourselves.
Absolutely. Well, so one thing we do probably on the laser, what y'all doing is I'm always pointing out where, he didn't want to go. She made
right.
Yeah. You can look at the face and say, he is not feeling this right now. But I mean, there are all kinds of ways to connect with people. And like I said, I am a fan of romance in any form. And I think you have to build on that. And one thing I always say, and I wanted you all to touch on that because we talk about love, love, love. But one of the most important things to me in my relationship, and I say that to people, is that I like him. And I think a lot of times I flip that because it's like a lot of people who you can love a lot of people, but you can actually not like them at all. And I was like, I really just like him as a person. Like he's my friend. So how do you all feel about when people say, their spouse is their best friend? Do you think that's important in relationships? What is your feeling there?
Absolutely. I was talking to someone recently that wanted coaching with us, and she said, I asked her how long they've been dating. They said, well, we've been dating a year, but we've known each other in childhood. We were friends many years ago, and we've been, known each other over the years. And I'm like, that's like makes one of the best relationships because you were friends. You just like them as a person, not like them because you want to date them, you want to see what they're like, you want to see if he's the one, you're still going to go through those thought processes. But no, I think that your spouse should be your very best friend because with your best friends, y'all never break up. And if you do have an argument, you do make up, but I'm saying you just don't ever break up. And, like I have a best friend that I've known since for 50 years now. And she was telling me, she said, Cynthia, we've never had an argument. I said, you know what? You are so right. I can't ever remember having any kind of fight or argument with you and falling out. And that's how James and we don't fight. People don't believe that. They think you make that kind of stuff.
I can't say that part. We got our hand in some and some fighting, but we've gained so much from those mishaps. And one thing I like about, in marriage and in relationships and the friendship, because the friendship is what brings you back. Because when I get all those other things in my head, but then I think about, I'm like, but he's my friend. So I should be able to talk about this, say what's on my mind, whatever. See, love doesn't always take you there.
Right.
But your friend, you should be able to talk to, and they're going to see you as that friend. So they're going to listen, even if right now you are on their last nerve. But because that's my friend, I'm going to hear them out. And that's what keeps it going for me.
Right. And all you really have, Lisa, is just aggressive fellowship. That's all.
Yeah. When we do have any type of disagreement, we call it aggressive fellowship or intense fellowship.
Right. And our disagreements are usually in the car about driving directions. That's where we have a problem at. But when you talk about friendship, because when you think of friendship first, your friend is a person you tell everything to. Mm-hmm. Your friend is a person, if some news is happening, you'll go to them first because you want them to know good and bad. So when you think of friendship as a relationship, that's how it should be. You want to give them the news first. You want to tell them first. You want to share everything that's going on with them first. So when your relationship is a friendship, that's the person you go to tell everything to tell your dreams, your aspirations, your innermost secrets. That's the person you want to go to first. Your successes, your failures, you go to your friend. So when your spouse is your friend, that even makes it better because now you're going to the person that you're with and telling them everything. So your communication is going to be awesome because you're telling each other everything first because you're friends first.
Absolutely.
And all of that goes back to everything we've been talking about. Because you're dating regularly, you're talking regularly, you're doing those romantic moments.
You're focusing on the we.
You're focusing on the we. You build a friendship. You build a strong relationship. You're not just married. You're not just married to this person that, you know, you decided you want to be with for, you know, hopefully for eternity. But you built a strong foundation. You built a strong relationship. You built a friendship that will last forever.
Look, I'm going to be using that. I'm going to tell him that later on tonight, that we have not been fighting at all. We are having aggressive fellowship.
There you go.
I could probably dictate to you the response that I'm going to get when I say that. He gonna, who have you been talking to now? But I'm going to say, look, we're not going to call this fight no more. It's aggressive fellowship, which fellowship, I like the fact that even though you say aggressive, fellowship brings it back around.
Right.
So that it's like we just coming together, we having some conversations. You're not getting it right, but I'm gonna help. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Look, and that's all it is two passionate people. Because when my voice rises, I'm just a passionate talker. I'm not yelling at you. I'm just passionate about what I'm saying.
And that's how we came up with that, Lisa.
I love that.
He is a very passionate talker, and when he gets passionate, he gets loud and he seems bigger. And I'm this little person, like, oh my God! But he's like, I'm not yelling, I'm not fussing.
I'm just passionate about what I'm saying.
And he even tells me that at work because he gets that way at work. Believe it.
I love it. I'm gonna have to use that, and he's gonna have to buy into it because he's always like. Usually when we were used to date, it was always like you always fussing and fighting all the time. But I was like, no, I'm just passionately involved in fellowship with you. He's gonna laugh me out of this house, but I like that. So what I wanted to do. Because part of romance to me is finding creative ways to stay connected with one another. So I wanted you all to share maybe some advice we could give to people on how you keep that romance alive. And then I actually wanted to get into talking about maybe some ideas for Valentine's Day. I was actually sharing some things with Shariva that I had done with my husband, which of course, he was like, where are you getting this stuff from? But I have such a fun time giving him that crazy look. It's like, I think that's what I do it for him to be like, what? But can we talk about a little bit about how do they keep the romance in their relationships, whether it's, you know, marriage, which is, you know, what people are going for, or just, you know, they have relationships. How do they keep that romance alive?
You know what? It has to be top of mind.
Okay.
It goes back to mindset again.
Staying active in it, right?
Yeah, staying active in it. Like having a mindset that I want to have a great relationship. I want to love on my spouse. I want us to have fun. I want my spouse to enjoy me. I want my spouse to appreciate me. You know, I want to do special things for my spouse. And when you have that mindset, you're going to make it happen. It doesn't mean you got to do anything special. Like sometimes when I'm out shopping, I don't care if it's the grocery store or I ran out to wherever, I'll think of like, oh gosh, what can I buy James to surprise him when I get back home? You know, like, you know, even if it's just his favorite little bag of candy.
Nuts or something. Yes.
He loves pretzels. So, you know, I love to find different flavored or chocolate covered pretzels or something like that. But that's how you keep the romance alive, is thinking about your spouse. And like James said, sacrifice leads to success. You know, sometimes just do something for your spouse just because.
And it's a matter of doing things together, hanging out. Even if you go to Home Depot with him.
Yes.
You know, we go to
sometimes he be like, say, why are you going to Home Depot with me? I say, because we're together.
Right. And we go to say Home Depot together, the grocery store together. We'll go to the cleaners together. You know, whenever if it's the a CVS or anything, if you do it together and you're spending time together, that's how you build that romance, because you're together all the time.
And we make it fun. So say for instance, we go to the grocery store together, right? James has this thing where he likes to, once he takes all the groceries out the grocery cart, he looks for where the grocery cart thing is, and he likes to see if he can push it across the parking lot into the thing without it hitting anything. And I used to think he was crazy. So now I do it. I try to beat him to doing the cart first.
But it's funny that if it starts going towards a car, now you have to run and get it so it doesn't hit the car. And it's funny seeing a person run after a cart so it doesn't hit the car.
And
especially a grown person, they're thinking, what is going on over there?
You can make anything
Right.
fun,
Plus,
romantic.
If you go to the fruit and vegetable section, I'll grab a cucumber.
Oh my God.
And
don't tell her. Don't tell her what you do with that cucumber.
Look, this is an adult show. I'll be like, here you go, baby. Come on now. So we'll just have a fun time when we're out.
Absolutely. I think I think that part, being silly and letting go, is what builds that friendship up. I mean, a lot of times I'm what happens sometimes if you're sitting around the house and you kind of get complacent, people take each other for granted. But every now and then I'll say, if I feel like I'm getting a little bored, and it's not that nothing has to be going on, but I'm like, hey, let's go for an ice cream run. And most of the time he's like, an ice cream run? But I never want to go to the closest ice cream, store. I want to go to the one that's way up Accokeek somewhere. But because I love the ride. And
right.
I'm one of those people that once we get stuck, I was like, well, you stuck with me now. So I get to talking about, remember when we went here or whatever. And now the ice cream ride has become a whole situation. And then from there I say, well, let's go past the park and eat it or whatever. But you have to make those moments.
Yep.
For something just as small as running to, like you said, running to the store. The Home Depot is like it's like Toys R Us to him. And I love to go. Now there are some, so let me touch on this real quick before we give some ideas on Valentine's Day. So what would you share for a couple in the romance area where I'm thinking I'm being romantic, or I'm connecting, and we're bowlers and he's a golfer? So I'm not a golfer, but I'm like, well, let me learn a little bit about golfing. So maybe one day I can drive the cart. I'll drive the car. So I went out and bought clubs. And he's already laughing. And I surprised him. Now we used to bowl together. He was good with that. But when I bought the clubs while I was at work one day on my lunch hour, I bought clubs, and then I came home, it's like, I got clubs, they're baby blue and they're cute. And he was like, why would you do that? And like, you don't even like golf. And I was like, no, I was thinking maybe we could play. But I think I had reached a moment where it was like, well, do we have to do everything together? And I had to really kind of hone in and say, okay, he has to have something for himself. So how do you talk to couples about the balance? Because I think sometimes, well, I would say ladies and men, sometimes we don't know where that boundary is because we're trying to do the right thing. But he kind of felt like, I need something for me. And then I had to allow him to bring me in to the golfing instead of me just bombarding with my cute little clubs, knowing I don't know nothing about what to do with them daggone clubs. So how would you, what would you tell a couple in that area?
That's so interesting you bring that up, because we were coaching a couple last night, and she was saying how he is so obsessed with golf and he's always on the golf course. And we were like, why don't you go with him? Oh, he would never want me to go with him, and da. And so we asked him, is that true? Do you not want her to go with you? He's like, no, I don't care if she go with you. I said, but would you enjoy golf? And she's like, I don't think so. She said, because I don't like the heat and I don't want to be out there on 18 holes. And so what I said to her is what we did. James was into golf and I wasn't. I was years ago when my kids were little. And so I told him, why don't you sign you guys up for a golf clinic? In a golf clinic, she would learn some of the skills, some of the knowledge, and a little bit of how to play the game, then take her out on the course. And I said, and since you don't want to be out there playing 18 holes, and she said, she knows she might want to quit around the third or fourth hole. I said, if you guys know that in advance, when you get out there, she played 3 or 4 holes. And then guess what? After that, she sit in the golf cart and drive the cart for you. She can have her headphones, listen to her music. She can be reading a book, but you're still out there together if that's something you want to do together. But if that's something that he wants to do on his own and he doesn't want his wife to be a part, then she has to respect that. But they should find something that the two of them do want to do together.
And what's better with that is that you don't actually have to go to the golf course with him. You can go to the driving range. And once you go to the driving range, then you can go on home and he can go on and play golf. And it goes back to what we talk about filling the love tank. If you do things together and your love tank is full, you don't have no problem with him going out, say with the guys, or spending time doing what he wants to do without you, because you know that when he comes back, there's going to be times when y'all do things together.
Yeah, I was thinking, okay, we bowl together, we had fun. So I was like, okay, I don't know nothing about golf, and it's the weirdest thing to watch, but he can literally sit in the house and watch golf. So, I mean, he's into this golf. But I was thinking that, teach me or whatever. But what I realized was when I backed off, and was like, let him pull me in.
Right.
We tended to do golf like with other couples,
Right.
or something. Yeah, we did things, and he would always take us to the driving range. I was like, I want to do this too, but then I realized that I'm really not that much of a fan of golf. This is really his thing. So I like to, see how couples understand that you don't have to love everything that he does.
Right.
And I had to learn that part of it, because we did so many things together that I didn't find that balance to say, okay, we don't have to do this together all the time, because I don't really like golf like that anyway. I just wanted to be, try to learn it.
But the key is, you let him pull you in.
Right.
Because if you let the man or the woman do what they want to do, it may come a time when they say, you know what, why don't you come with me?
Yeah.
Don't force the issue and say, well, we do everything together, you're going golf and I'm coming with you. No. And let him go, and he'll eventually say, babe, I don't have nobody to play with today, so why don't you come along and we do it together.
And what you could do is surprise him and take a golf clinic and learn the skills of the game.
Well, that's true. I could
then let him know, hey, babe, I took a golf lesson. He'll be like shocked and say,
no, you don't say. You just go out there and start doing good. And he'll be like, wait a minute.
Say, babe, can I go on a golf course with you one day? Like plan it in advance so he'll be prepared. And then when you get out there and you know how to actually hold that golf club, you know what I'm saying? He'll be like, hold up, wait a minute.
Or the other part is, because he's an excellent golfer, so I like to sometimes say, well, show me how you do that. And he's such an excellent teacher that I think that's what draws us to, is that he gets to show me his world and golf. Yeah. So, but I remember doing that years ago. I bought it and it was like, what? My mom even laughed when she said, well, what would you go out and buy? I said, I don't know. I thought I was doing something, but she was like, just slow down. He'll pull you into that. And I don't really like golf that much anyway. So it's like, I've used those golf clubs one time and probably don't know where they are in the back of the garage or whatever. But I thought that was a good balance, because sometimes we miss that. But I did want to talk about some nice ideas for Valentine's Day. So do you all have any ideas or tips? And I had a couple I wanted to share with people, because Valentine's Day is coming up and people always think you got to do all of these extravagant things, and you don't. There's so many creative ideas for Valentine's Day. So what can you all share in that area?
Well, one that we did was that, how Valentine's Day, it seems like a lot of restaurants or places are filled. You have to make reservations ahead of time. So what we did one year was, I went out to a seafood restaurant and ordered all the food to go, and came home and we put it on plates. We had like our dinner tray, our tray tables with candlelight sitting by the fireplace. And we had a nice candlelight dinner.
We actually took TV trays, threw a cloth over it, and put it in front of the fireplace. So it wasn't even like we had a fancy table or anything.
And we had candlelights, and we had a seafood dinner at home in front of the fireplace with just the two of us.
Yeah, I love it. That was nice. That was one of my favorites.
Well, and one of the things I say, it's cool when couples have their thing. So if anybody watches us on social media, I'm out there. My husband's not out there so much, but we love crabs. So, and that's all the joke. The running joke for us is, you don't have to bring me a dozen roses. Just bring me a dozen crabs and we can talk about it. I mean, that's all that's what pleases me. If you buy me a dozen crabs, I'll talk to you about it. Let's work it out. But we actually have like a little crab table. So every evening it's like kind of Netflix and chill, whatever. So we have this special little card table that we put the little thing on it so that it doesn't, mess up the table, and sit in front of the TV, move the little ottoman. It's very just makeshift. And then we watch our favorite movie, whatever it may be, and sit there and talk and eat crabs. And it's something that we do as a routine. So we look forward to it. We've even been on the same accord where he decided to surprise me with a few dozen crabs. And I actually was planning the same surprise and ended up at the same place. And they were like, Washington. Oh, wait a minute, this is not yours, because I had bought I think I bought more than he did. So they were like, oh, that's not yours. And I didn't think about it. I took it home. And then when I got home, he had crabs. And I said, where did you get your crabs from? I said, oh my goodness, that lady moved those out the way and was like, these aren't yours. I said, you went to the same place. We both were ordering crabs. So we had like 7 to 8 dozen crabs in the house because we both were surprising each other. But those are the moments when you realize, you know, how connected you are, and that we were trying to please what you all said. We were trying to please each other,
right?
And we both ended up winning behind that. So that's the key. When you're trying to please your spouse,
exactly,
and do those special things, you end up winning. You know, if you're both doing it, nobody loses.
And that's like what you said, where we like wings also. So we'll make a few different flavor wings, whether they're barbecue, whether they're hot, whether they're lemon pepper, and make French fries and put them in the center, like on the ottoman. And, you know, we just watch our favorite show, you know, whether it's Netflix, like Netflix and chill. And we'll just share a bowl of them right there on the ottoman. And that kind of stuff is romantic, and it doesn't have to cost a lot of money, and you're actually spending quality time together.
So I tell people for Valentine's Day, you can, you know, it's usually good times around food. So you can either go out to dinner, you know, make your reservations, because like James said, those places are packed, or you can order a meal, bring it home, set it up, make it the table look romantic, do it at home. Or you can cook dinner for your spouse, or y'all can cook dinner together. Or guess what? One of my favorite things is hire a chef to come into your home.
That's nice.
Cook the food in your home, and then have them serve you. And one year, our daughter cooked dinner and served us for Valentine's Day. Told us to sit down at the table, and she served us. So there's so many different things you can do to make Valentine's Day special.
When you think of restaurants, how they raise the prices just for Valentine's Day. You know, and you say, well, that's too expensive. There's a lot of inexpensive things you could do at home.
That's right. That's right. So, and that leads me into, I will share that maybe a few years ago, I found this site, and I'm not working with them or anything, but this is a great site as well. It's called Dating Divas. And they have some wonderful ideas on how to create not just dates for, you know, romantic dates, but just adventurous dates and all kinds of things. So I will share a couple of things that I did that was so cool. Is they have a lot of printouts. So if you have a computer, what I did was they had this thing where you could print out a ticket, and it looked like a real ticket that a police would put on your car, but you fill it out. So you fill out the violation, and then you fill out how much it's going to cost you because of what, you know. So I did something like, you're in violation of hugs, not enough hugs for this week. So the punishment is that you have to pay, and I would say whatever it is that you have to pay for this ticket. And I actually went outside, put it on his, I think he had a van at the time, put it on just like the police officer does. So when he got in the car, he saw this ticket on his van. It's like, it's been in the driveway. Why would I have a ticket on the car? But I was like, read it. And so when he raised, like, where do you find this stuff? But they have so many things that you can actually print out. It doesn't cost you anything if you got some plain paper in your printer and you create it yourself. And I think sometimes those have such a huge impact on, you know, Valentine's Day. Writing a poem. I've done that where I've written a poem and made it really nice and then put it in a frame and then wrapped it and gave it to him. And believe it or not, he has surprised me by showing me that he's kept some of those things. So years later, you're going through stuff and I'm like, you kept that? But it's something he held on to. So those are just some ideas, you know, that people do.
Because I wrote Cynthia a romantic note one time and put it on her windshield. She never noticed it.
I sure did. Got right in the car.
She got in the car and drove off. It was there the whole day. She never even noticed it.
I sure did.
She was so busy thinking about you. Her head was in a whole nother.
Look, and I wish it would have been rain or something when she had to use a wiper. She would have noticed it then.
It would have been probably ripped off.
I know you would have missed the message, but I would say this: my husband used to do so, and I would say for guys or women, think about doing those small things. Like my husband used to, there were songs that I liked, so he would just leave the song on my voicemail. He didn't say anything. It wasn't like he left a message with it. It's just that when I checked my voicemail, the song would play. So it's little simple things that would make me smile that meant so much more than a lot of these big, huge things.
Right.
Not discouraging people now. If you want to go all out, but like I said, I don't need a dozen roses. I love flowers and I'll take them. But if you do that dozen crabs, we can have a conversation. I'm just saying.
And you know what? I like different. You know, I like different. So I don't, and it don't always have to be about tradition either.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So come up with your own traditions. Come up with your own favorite things, like you guys with the crabs, whatever that may look like. I like ordering food and sitting at home versus going to a crowded restaurant, because I don't always feel like dressing up and leaving the house.
Yeah, you know? And you have to create something that's your thing. Like, this is the green. This is how the Greens move. This is how the Washingtons move. And that's your thing. So I have so enjoyed. We could talk for hours on this. What I want to do is take a quick break, and we're going to have a Black History moment, because you all know that even though I think this is like Love Month, this is Black History Month. So we're going to have a Black History moment, and then we're going to come back and get ready to close out. But we're also going to have a TikTok moment. So what I do is try to pull a TikTok that I think can take us into the weekend to prepare us for another brand new week. So let's have a Black History moment with Lunch with Lisa, and we'll be right back. Welcome to another Luncheon with Lisa Black History moment. Today I wanted to share 3 people who are part of our history who have made a huge impact. I wanted to first introduce you to Benjamin Banneker, who taught himself astronomy and math to become America's first known African-American man of science. I also wanted to introduce you to Phyllis Wheatley. For those of you all who don't know who that is, Phyllis Wheatley was only 12 when she became the first female African-American author published. And last but certainly not least, I wanted to introduce you to Ralph Bunche, who was the first person of color and first African-American to receive a Nobel Peace Prize. And that is a little of our Black History moment with the Luncheon with Lisa show. That was our Black History moment with Luncheon with Lisa. We're trying to do that every Thursday in the month of February. But remember, Black History is happening every day. We're making history. We are Black history. Everybody who's doing something is making history. So I wanted to show that moment. Before we go into a TikTok moment, though, I want you to let everybody know where they can find you on social media. If you have any events that are coming up, tell us where they can find you.
Well, they can find us all over social media as Marriage Built to Last. That's the number 2, not the word T-O. Marriage Built to Last on every social media you can think of. We didn't switch the name up. And then we have something fun coming up for Valentine's Day. On Sunday, we're going to start the 5-day kiss challenge. So we've been talking about romance, right? And people have forgotten that kissing can be an art. So we actually have this list of 17 different ways that you can kiss. People didn't know there were so many different ways to kiss.
Oh, wow.
Right? So during the kiss challenge, we talk about some of those different ways of kissing. And when you register, you can get the kiss list, we call it. But we're going to have a 5-day kiss challenge all next week, starting on Sunday. And get back to kissing your spouse. You know what I'm saying? And spike up the romance a little bit.
That sounds like fun.
Plus, there's health benefits to it also.
Yep.
Oh, tell us real quick before we go into our TikTok moment.
Well, it lowers your blood pressure.
Okay. And
it relieves stress.
Right, because when you're kissing, you're connecting, you're touching. And you know how they say babies need to be touched? Mm-hmm. You know, it helps that serotonin to rise in your brain. And so it fulfills a need. So kissing has a lot of different health benefits that people are not even aware of. And we talk about those all 5 days.
And what people don't believe is that they say you should kiss at least 5 times a day.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't know. We're gonna sign it. I'm gonna sign us up. He's gonna say, why do you keep kissing me so much? I was like, this is a challenge. Maybe if I tell him we're gonna we might win some money if we kiss more. Maybe I'm gonna definitely sign up. That sounds like fun.
And we usually do give away a prize to the person who posts the most pictures of them and their spouse
kissing.
Oh my God!
During the challenge, yeah.
He might be like, you doing the most right now, but no, I am gonna sign us up. Yeah, that sounds like fun. So everybody heard that there's a 5-day kiss challenge coming up. I think that's so cool. Before we go into our TikTok moment, I wanted to share one more thing that I did that I think would be fun for whether it's couples or married couples or just people who are in relationships. But one thing I did was because I'm so extra with stuff sometimes, but I would actually lead up, like you said, the 5-day kiss challenge. I would actually do something different every day leading up to Valentine's Day. It drove him crazy, but at the same time, I think he loved it. But it's just those little things that you all can do. So I would encourage people, if you celebrate Valentine's Day, whatever it is, do something different, creative. It doesn't have to be anything that's difficult. It could be a picture that you all already took, print it out off of your phone, frame it beautifully. Something that they could put in their office if they have an office, or that they can keep in their wallet or something like that. But that seems to touch. I think a lot of times women don't realize that men are touched by those kind of things. So we try to do all the other stuff. But just keep those things in mind. I'm hoping that this helped you tonight. I have had a ball hanging out with the Greens. And I'm hoping that we can bring you back and talk more about love and relationships and some other events that you may have coming up. But I'm really liking this 5-day kiss thing. I just really love it. I'm going to go to y'all website and check that out. But what we're going to do before we close is I always have like a TikTok moment. Like I said, we're people watchers. So I'm always on TikTok, and I actually sent some very motivational things, great conversations. I will tell you, and I'm not doing a promo for this guy, but I can't remember. And Shariva, I know you know what I'm talking about, but his name is Ace somebody, but he does relationship cards, and they're great. They ask questions to learn about your spouse or whatever. And believe it or not, knowing my husband for 34 years, married 12 of those years, but even going through that list of cards and some of the questions, he was like, what? But I learned some things that you think you know your spouse, but every day there is something else that you can learn about the person that you spend all of your time with. You never know enough. So I just say to engage in some of those fun little things. And we didn't need like a whole party. It's something you can use at a party, but it was just us sitting on the couch, and I was like, bam, I got these cards. Let's read them. He was like, what have you bought now? I was like, just roll with it. But yeah, we have to be adventurous. We have to be open. And you have to keep going back to the drawing board. I will say that you'll run into situations in marriage and relationships where it gets difficult, it gets hard. There are a lot of things that challenge, a relationship. There's death, there's all kinds of things that you can't really plan for. But all I say is just stay open and stay connected. And when you can't connect, keep figuring it out. Keep trying to decide what can we do? And I just keep going back to the drawing board. So I have enjoyed you all. And what I want to do is leave you all and the guests with a TikTok moment that I think will encourage us to have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful next week. I hope to see you all back here next Thursday, where we're going to be talking about Love Thy Neighbor. We have Dr. Teresa Mosley on and Charlene Day, and we're going to get into loving thy neighbor. So it's sometimes easy to love our spouses. It's sometimes easy to do the self-love thing. But loving other people, loving your neighbor, that can be a challenge, but we got to do it all. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to tap into that next week. But We're going to go to this TikTok challenge, and TikTok moment, and then we're going to come back and say goodbye. So here we go with our TikTok moment. A little bit of fast food, the baby need a fast food. Look, you got a light bill too. You even got a gas bill too. The telephone disconnect. Waiting for your next paycheck. Tell you what you ought to do. Tell you what you ought to do. Tell you what you ought to do. Jesus will see you through. Witness will see you through. Witness will see you through. Abraham had a son. Isaac was the only one. Led him to a mountain high. Boy didn't let him die. Abraham said a word. Voice from heaven he heard. Abraham, over there you see the ram. Didn't he work it out? 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 Job was sick so long. Flesh fell from his bones. I absolutely love that.
I love it.
He was all in. If you can't walk away
Yes.
from TikTok feeling motivated and inspired, then I don't know what's wrong with you. But I want to wish everybody a wonderful, wonderful. What is Valentine's Day next?
Valentine's Day.
Is it next Tuesday?
Yes.
It is. So I won't see you all before Valentine's Day, because when we meet again, it'll be afterwards. So happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Thank you for coming on and helping us with this romance thing.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. I think we're better for this conversation. I have enjoyed it. We got some great ideas for Valentine's Day. And I will see you all next Thursday on Lunchin with Lisa. Have a great one.